Thanks, Karine. Did the president get a heads up from Senator Sinema in advance of her announcement this morning that she would re-register as a Democrat?
So I will say this, as always, we do not discuss private conversations that we have with members of Congress. Don't have anything else to share outside of that, but we are just not going to share any private conversations that we have with Congress.
Can you talk about the president's reaction? Was he surprised?
Well, I put out a statement, and that, as you know, I speak for the President of the United States. So he sees and we see Senator Sinema as a key partner on some of the most historic pieces of legislation that you all have covered in this administration. When you look at the past 20 months, from the American Rescue Plan to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law to the Inflation Reduction Act to the Respect for Marriage Act, from also the PACT Act, all of these pieces of legislation have been historic, and we have partnered with Senator Sinema. And so, look, we understand her decision to register as an independent in Arizona. The way we see it and understand it, it does not change the new Democratic majority control of the Senate. And we have every reason to expect that we will continue to work with her successfully.
And on a different topic, yesterday's prisoner swap. Does the president believe that the deal that was struck by his administration with the Russian administration with Free Brittany Griner was a fair one, that was a fair arrangement?
Look, and when I've talked about this yesterday as well, here's the way that we have seen this. When you talk about fair, Brittany Griner is an American citizen who was being held unjustly. She was being held unjustly under intolerable circumstances. That was what was happening to Brittany Griner. And so that means something to the president. He believes, when you have an American passport, it means something. And so he wanted to do everything that he could to make sure that he brought her home. And we were presented with an option. As you know, we've laid this out. You've heard from my NSC colleagues as well, where it was either Brittany or no one. That was the option that we were given. And so the president wanted to keep his promise in making sure that he brings American citizens home who are being wrongfully detained abroad. That is a promise that his administration is continuing to fight for. And so that's what you saw. He saw the same action that he took with Trevor Reed, he took with Brittany Griner, and others, almost a dozen other wrongfully detained Americans have come home under his administration, and he is going to continue to work very hard, and his administration to work very hard to bring Paul Whelan home.
So is that fair or not?
The way that we see it is that this was an opportunity to bring an American home. That's how we saw the deal that was presented to us. And what was occurring is, in the past week or two, we saw that from the Russians were willing to release Brittany Griner for Mr. Boot. That was what was presented to us. They were not willing and I said this yesterday, to negotiate in good faith for Paul Whelan. And so it was either Brittany Griner, one American, or no American. And so that's how we see the negotiation that was presented in front of us, and that's the very difficult decision that the president had to make, and we were able to bring her home safely.
I understand.
I'm sorry. I was gonna go ahead.
I understand you're not going to detail private conversations, but just to be clear, was the White House given a heads up that Senator Sinema was going to be?
I'm just not going to go into details. I'm just not going to go into details on any private conversation that we have. I'm just not going to go into details or lay out any private conversations that we have with Congress. That's something that we normally do, just not going to do.
Yes. But that suggested a private conversation did occur.
Mary, I'm just not going to go into details on this.
Well, let me try this then. Just 2 days ago, you said that Warnock's win gave you a little bit more breathing room, a little bit more ability to deliver for the American people. Does Sinema's decision to leave the party take away some of that breathing room?
Look, as I said, and I put out a statement on this, as you all know, as I said, that we understand Senator Sinema's decision to register as an independent. The way that we see it, it does not change the majority, or it doesn't change the complexion of what our Democratic majority is going to look like in the Senate.
How then does it impact you? I mean, you're saying that this decision won't change at all how you work with her, or you said that you expect that, or you have every reason to expect that you will continue to work successfully with Sinema. Where does that expectation come from?
Because she has voted with the president 93% of the time, because she has worked with us on key priorities of this administration. When you think about his economic policy, I just laid out
no.
all of the different historic pieces of legislation that we have been able to get done, and she has played a key role in that. When you think about the CHIPS and Science Act, when you think about the bipartisan infrastructure law, those are pieces of legislation. There's another long list of other things that she's worked with us on. That's 93%. And so we think that partnership will continue. We do not see a change in our Democratic majority as it relates to the Senate. So we are very confident. I'm going to call actually on Alex in the back because of what occurred yesterday. I know Brett is not here, but want to give you an opportunity to ask a question.
Thank you. I wanted to ask about if the president has spoken with any gun violence prevention advocates or victims' families ahead of the Sandy Hook anniversary, and also if he has any plans to talk to lawmakers next week about his call for an assault weapons ban.
I don't have anything to preview at this time on any calls that the president might make or will make. The president has talked about Sandy Hook being the worst day in his 8 years as vice president, and you can expect him to mark this sad day next week, as I laid out in the week ahead. On Wednesday, as you all saw, the president joined survivors and families impacted by gun violence to deliver remarks at the 10th annual National Vigil for all victims of gun violence, organized by the Newton Action Alliance. The vigil was a service of mourning and loving remembrance for all who have fallen victim to the ongoing epidemic of gun violence in America. And as you all know, the president has done more than speak about gun violence. He's actually taken action. He fought relentlessly to take action as well. He has done taken more executive action at this time in his presidency than any other president. And so, look, and let's not forget, he signed the most significant gun safety legislation in 30 years this summer, but he feels that is not enough. And we need to do more. And so he continues to call for the assault weapons ban. He did that on that day, on Wednesday, when he was there with families and friends, speaking of this moment. And he's never going to stop showing up and speaking out. And I have said this before, he believes his role as president is to make sure that we continue to continue to push this into the dialogue. So making sure that the American people understand how important it is to talk about getting the assault weapons ban.
Karine, thank you so much. I want to follow up on Mary's question when she asked you why you feel confident that you'll be able to continue to work with Senator Sinema successfully. You cited her record, but just to put a fine point on it, has the administration been given assurances by anyone within the senator's office or the senator herself that she is going to continue to work?
I'm just not going to divulge or speak to any private conversations that we have with members of Congress. That is something that is not unusual. That is something that I've said many times before. Understand the question. What I am saying is her actions speak to what we're trying to lay out here, right? 93% that she's voted with the president over the last 20 months. I've listed out the historic pieces of legislation that she has played a significant role, that she's played a key partner role with us. And so, we don't see a change in the Democratic majority with her deciding to register as an independent.
Do you expect her to caucus with Democrats?
Look, we don't see a change in the Democratic majority, and so we see this as a decision that she has made, but we do not see a change in our Democratic majority.
I'm out of here.